Hey guys, we're back. This time I'm going to take a look at some of the things that I've been printing on my new resin printer there. It's been a bit since I made the first video on that. I wanted to show some of the stuff I've done. The test prints were this awesome Eiffel Tower. You can see the intricate work on there that you can't do with an FDM printer. The lattices, the railings on here. This one does have a few flaws in it because when I first ever print in it fell off the shelf the other day and broke the tip off, so I may reprint it, but it came out pretty good, I think. No supports or anything on this, and yeah, I think it was a good test of what the printer is capable of. Again, the ones that come with the printer like this are specifically tweaked to be about as good as you can get from the manufacturer, so there's that. The other one is this little vase cup thing here, and I never sanded the bottom, so it looks horrible. This one had supports. Let's see where they were attached. Just needs to be sanded off, but it was also one of my first prints, and if you can tell on there, it's actually mesh. It's like the smallest hole you can get. They're like pinhead size, and so it won't actually hold liquid. They run right through. It's kind of transparent. I don't know if you can really see that on the video, but I didn't clean it out very well, and there was some uncured resin in the bottom here, so when I went to cure it, it made it kind of reflective. You can see it kind of puddled in there. But again, that was one of my first attempts, and very interesting. Again, a test print, so nothing too much to showcase on those because, as I said, the test prints are dialed in to be pretty much perfect on there. The next thing I went on to do were some models for Gloomhaven, some scenery. And these were originally designed to be done on an FDM printer, but I did them on the resin. And the detail and everything in them came out pretty good. This was the first model I tried slicing myself, and didn't use any supports on them, which I don't think they really needed. Like these bags possibly could have, but it would have been more trouble than it was worth. And they came out alright. I did have a problem with adhesion. These ones have little bottles on them. But yeah, they look alright to me. I actually think these look better in FDM though, now that I've seen them done both ways, because you get the texture in there that makes it look like wood. But yeah, I had a problem with adhesion, and a few of these started to pull away from the build plate. They didn't stick at the beginning, so I kind of have lopsided bookshelves. You can see it better if you put them side by side. There's a couple of them that came out like that, but overall, though, they serve their purpose and work for what I needed them for. I might paint them at some point, but there's another one. They came out functionable. Then the next thing I went on to do were these giant rat models, again for Gloomhaven. And I don't think the camera can get these to do them justice. The detail on these is great. These things are sharp too. They're little like pus sacks on them. Very awesome models. And I made those again for Gloomhaven, but realized quickly that you need bases to differentiate the numbers, because the way Gloomhaven works is the models are numbered. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of these. I actually made extra because I had a bad batch where a couple came off the build plate. I had to clean the bat out and all that. So when I made more, I actually made too many. I think I have a couple extras. And needed bases for those. So I actually used the FDM printer to make bases for them of a bunch of different kinds. Oh, these were my first attempt. They didn't come out very well. The other ones I have with smaller bricks worked better, and there's wood plank ones. But they have the numbers on the sides. But then I realized I need those in 2 colors because you need ones to represent the elites and the regulars. So I don't know if we're going to keep using miniatures for Gloomhaven. Probably scenery, but not models. They seem to be more trouble than they're worth. There's a much better looking stone pattern. How did I grab number 7 again? But there's a number 1 through 10 in both of those. And there's the wood ones. See if we can get 7 again. No, we got 9 this time. But there's the wood finish. Painted up, I think they'll look nice. So I considered making a second set of each of these and painting them yellow or gold. But it just seems like a lot of work. I might do it. I don't have any gold filament, otherwise I'd just print them in that. And there's another set of bases. I think they're another set of stone ones because I was going to try painting them. Then we moved on to something a little similar. I was trying to print, we were in a scenario at the time where we needed the rats, so I printed them. And these I think I was using for a growth. They're actually a slime or something from the big Gloomhaven. We're playing Jaws of the Lion. But it's really hard to see on the camera here, but the amount of detail in these, because you can see the slime in the middle, but like there's a shield here, there's a sword sticking out of it there. There's all kinds of stuff absorbed into it. Bone over there, I think. But they came out pretty easy. There wasn't a lot to them. I'm impressed the little swords didn't break off because we've been pretty rough with them. They've just been thrown in a box, to be honest. I was waiting for a rat tail to break. And we also needed the black sludge, I think they are. And these came out really well. It's hard to tell because they're just a mass blob, but the detail in the tentacles and everything is pretty cool on them. We got a set of those. Again, I think there's an extra one of those. No, maybe there's supposed to be 6. I don't remember. And then I tried to do some cultists. And I like the model. This was my first attempt at manually supporting a model. So I had to put supports in for various things. And overall they came out okay. But I did have issues. For one, I don't know if I can get it right here. The piece of the whip here between there and there is broke. It just didn't print. Or it was part of the supports it broke off with, maybe. I think it didn't print on this specific one. But I had massive failure on that that print run. So not only did he not print correctly, most of the others didn't print at all. And here's another guy, and his whole bottom half of the whip actually broke off. Which I still have. But this is where I learned that the resin for this is very brittle. And it kind of snaps like, well, like plastic. But it's, if you were to drop one of these on the floor, like a normal plastic model, you might break an arm off or something. You can glue it back on. These tend to shatter. Like all this little stuff would shatter into a million pieces. So it's a live and learn process. It was my first time with it. There's different kinds of resin too. So I may look into those. But overall, the quality of the actual models, you can see the detail on the face and the amulet there. They came out great. So I chalked this up to my failure at learning the support structures. And that's something you just got to do over time. It's the same thing with the FDM printer. I had to learn where to put supports and how to put them to print things properly. And it's just a matter of learning that on this. I did move up to some more technical stuff. This is actually a model I've been trying to print for my D&D character for a while now, and could not get it to print right in FDM. No matter what I tried, I kept failing. Something got it in resin. His face is a little weird. I'll have to paint it and see, but it looks like the detail's there. But I think he came out pretty good, even the folds in the cloak there. I needed to clean up his base. Did not print perfectly, but I'm going to sand that down anyway because of the support marks on there. So by the time it's done, you might not notice at all. If it's really bad, I can remove the base from his feet and print out a different base for him. So, and these I just did the other day for my daughter. It is Kirito and Asana from Sword Art Online in chibi form, like Cool Mini or not, Arcadia Quest style. And Asana came out great. Just need to print bases for them. They don't have a lot of detail on their face, but that was the design of the model. But her hair and everything came out nice. Kirito, on the other hand, the model came out good. They had a smiling version of him and a frowning version. He has this weird, like, pool under his chin. I'm not sure what that was. And then one of his legs, or both his legs, came detached from the plate during building. And thanks to the supports and things, they finally did reattach. But because of that, he's got like half a leg on one side and missing his foot on the other side. So unfortunately, due to the chin and the legs, I'm probably going to have to reprint him. But that was my first time completely supporting a model from scratch. And I'm learning. So then I did a larger model just to see what I was capable of here. This is actually the ship from Star Trek Picard in 2 pieces. But I learned my lesson. I decided since these were flat, it made sense to just print them like this right on the build plate. And I see why you're not supposed to do that now. Whenever you try to support anything, it automatically raises it up and adds a layer of supports underneath. And I understand why it does that now. I didn't when I made this. So you get this little elephant's foot kind of lip around the entire outside, which is going to cause me problems when I go to sand this down. You can see it's, if I can get it angled right, there's like a mirror finish on there from the build plate. I need to sand that up, roughen it up a little bit so I can glue these two together. Detail wise though, it came out great. There isn't much on this piece. The engines, these little slots down the vents here. The back half though has got all the detail on it. So the back half again had the same thing. Gotta rough that up, but this really has a lip on certain spots, which is going to need to be sanded down. And a little bit of resin I didn't clean off completely, so you have these little reflective areas. But when you see in here, the amount of detail in these vents and engines, really cool. And then, like I said, you're going to sand these down, glue this together, and have a really cool looking ship. Kind of big for what most of my games and things are related, but it'll look cool model on a shelf. It was my first attempt at doing something large, and turned out okay. And I did say I wanted to compare the resin printer to my FDM printer, and I got these Roke models, but unfortunately I got the small ones, and I didn't realize how small they were until I printed them. So they're only maybe 1.25 inches tall. And if I can line them up here, where's the hole on that one? There you go. I don't know how I'm going to get these on camera in detail because they're so small, but inside they have like a helix that goes from the top all the way down. There you can kind of see it. There's also a spiral staircase in there. The FDM printer actually did this quite well. I was impressed with the amount of detail here. There's little brick lines in here. It actually says make rook on the side. The rook lettering was too small for the FDM printer. You can see there it kind of messed up on that, but you can read make plain as day. The detail in the side of the spiral here going up is nice. I was actually really impressed with the Ender 3 Pro and how this came out on such a small scale. The resin version of this is going to be harder to get because of the color, but you can see there the rook letters came out perfectly. I almost need to get a shadow on it so you can see some of the more detail. Lines for the bricks came out really good, but you can't see them because of the glare. But the detail, of course, is more crisp on everything, like the spirals here. And again, inside, you have that perfect helix down the middle with the staircase. I expected this one to come out really good, so there's no shocker here. But was actually really impressed with the FDM printer on that one. I did not expect to get that kind of detail out of that, and that's with a standard millimeter nozzle too. So after all this stuff, I actually stepped away from the resin printer for a bit. I was ordering a flexible build plate because things are really hard to get off of that solid build plate, and I was scratching the hell out of it trying to get stuff off, and I thought that might be part of what was causing my adhesion problems. So I ordered the plates. They were delayed forever, and the original shipment apparently got lost. They kept telling me it was in the mail, and the shipping label kept saying it never got shipped. Finally, they decided to send me a new one. I just got those in, so I'm going to get back to printing some more resin stuff. And it's worth noting, too, all of this, plus my failed attempts, plus I had to dump the bat and clean it a couple times because when things fall off the build plate, these started to, those guys did, so I actually had to dump the entire vat, clean the film off and everything, and you lose a little bit every time you do that because you got to strain it out and whatnot. And I think I had to do that twice. I don't remember what else it failed on. But that burned up a little bit, but all this right here and a little bit, I'm trying to think of what else I printed. I printed something else that's not here. But anyway, all that together was one small bottle of resin that I bought, and I can't remember how much those bottles were, but that pretty much just used up. There was a little bit left, maybe to the bottom line in the vat, so probably could have got a few more things out of it, but that gives you an idea of what you can get out of a single bottle of the smaller bottles too. It's not the big liter bottles. It was a 500 gram bottle, so yeah, all that came out of one of these, and like I said, there was a little bit left over. There's probably still a little bit in the bottle, and what I wasted having to change the vat and stuff. I'm new at this, so there was a lot of that too. So, pretty good haul, I think, though, for what it was. This, I also made the mistake of printing solid, which probably burnt up quite a bit. I know how to use the slicer settings now to hollow out models, so that probably burned up a lot that I didn't need to. FDM side of things, I printed up, like I said, we've been playing Gloomhaven, so I printed a lot of things for that. I found these really cool door models, and I've seen people selling these too. Some have hexagon bases on them, but these go on your map. They represent a closed door. When it's open, this can be removed, or you can just use the doors standalone if you want. They're symmetrical, so it doesn't matter which way you place them. I did see somebody print these out of a gray for like a stone, and the door themselves out of brown. That was kind of neat, but they work, they're functional, and we've been using those in almost every game of Gloomhaven we've played. I made a whole stack of them. I don't know how many you'll ever use at a time, but got these stalagmite blocks here for use as obstacles in Gloomhaven. Made a bunch of those. And I just like the 3D terrain on the game. It makes it so much more I guess interactive, but it makes it more in-depth when you're looking at the table. You can see where these are instead of just having colored hexes on the table. Also have these crates, again, basic scenery for Gloomhaven. I contemplated making them without the bases, but I think they look better with the bases. So we have a set of those, which I may or may not paint at some point. A while back I printed up some chests, and these are actually originally, I think, the ones I was using for Arcadia Quest, and I just had a couple extra. And then I found some cooler designs for bigger chests. So we printed up, there's a bunch of different, I think, you know if these are, no, maybe these ones are all the same. I have a bunch of different designs for chests, but printed up a bunch of chests, and those are used to represent the chests in Gloomhaven. Not that you'll ever need more than one, I think, at a time, maybe two. Then I printed up this favorite icon. This goes under your target, so when you throw the target at a monster, or you throw the favorite at a target there, you can label which one has it in place of using the little plastic token. This I actually replaced, this was what I was using when we were using the models, but I replaced with a version that is literally just the hatchet with a slit cut in it that can hook right on the cardboard standees. That's actually packed away in my Gloomhaven, so I'm not going to dig that out right now. But moved on to scenery like the pillars. We got the pillars here, which were used in a couple missions. Basically, like I said, I was printing stuff as we got through the missions to where we needed them. And look into printing the bosses, the boss models, if I can find models for them, and just leaving everybody else. I think we're better off with the basic monsters being the cardboard. So I like having the models, but they tend to be more of a pain, at least in that game, due to mechanics than anything else. So we'll have to see how that goes. But that's a look at a lot of the stuff I've been printing lately. I've also done a lot more with inserts, which I'll be doing insert videos separately for certain games coming up. Been printing out a bunch of new Star Trek Ascendancy factions. There's a lot of them that are getting near release. They're ready to go, at least fan-made ones. So those are all done. Peek, there's a Suliban Helix station. And some Suliban ships. And some Zindi insectoid ships there. So a lot of that stuff coming. Those will have their own videos though, so I'm not going to mix them in here. And one last big boy to show probably here before we're done. And this was actually an experiment because I wanted something large to use for a the creature hunt in Gaslands. And it's really cool purple worm from Dungeons and Dragons. And I thought, well, that'll be great. And I printed it up, and as I was printing, I didn't look at it when I sliced it. I don't know why. It just didn't dawn on me. But as I was printing, when I saw the base print out, I knew it was going to be way out of scale, but I had to finish it just to see. And we got this massive purple worm here. And yeah, I saw the base printing that size. And to give you a scale, I mean, compared to Gloomhaven hexes, if you're familiar, or even Matchbox car for scale for the Gaslands, it's a little large. So, not going to use it for that, but he's pretty cool. I might actually paint him and use him just as a display piece, but he turned out really awesome. And it's absolutely massive, though. I might actually use this and scale it down and see how it turns out, but I think he's still not going to be right. So still looking for a good model to use for that game mode. Anyway, that is a look at all of the stuff that I have been printing up for Gloomhaven right now, but just to try out my new printer and comparing it to my old printer, I am going to try to get these rooks. I know they make them in a medium and a large size too. I didn't realize how small the small was, so I'm going to try to get the medium and large files for that and print those up again, because I think it's really neat checking out the comparison in detail on these. And I also did get a set of new nozzles for the Ender. I don't know if I'm going to mess around, because I think they go down to a 0.02. Recalibrating the extruder and all that when you move down nozzle size or up. So right now everything I've printed has been on the 0.4 or 0.04. I don't know if I'm missing a decimal there off the top of my head, but the standard size nozzle, and had to make any real adjustments to the machine. So I know you can do a lot better detail on the smaller nozzle, but you have to adjust the extruder speed, like I said. You have to adjust the printing speed, because you got to print slower with the smaller nozzle from what I've seen, and that increases print times. And things already take a really long time to print if you're not familiar with FDM printers. I did notice, though, the resin printer prints extremely fast. And part of that is, like, these 6 bookshelves I printed on build plate all at once. The build plate on it is relatively small, but laying these down, that's pretty much my build plate size. I think I had them the other way, but because it's longer than it is wide, but that's pretty much the size of the build plate on my resin printer. And doing those like that, should have turned them the other way, but just to give you an idea, yeah, doing these like this, actually all at the same time. The way the SLA printers work is it prints an entire layer, then moves up, prints an entire layer, moves up, prints an entire layer, where the FDM printer has to actually draw out the outline and then fill everything in, and then it goes to the next model, draws it, fills it in, draws. So when I did like all these as one, it would have to do that for each one. Draw it, fill it in, draw it, fill it in, draw it, fill. When it finishes the last one, then it goes up a layer. Where this literally prints everything on every layer, on one layer at the same time. And I think I have it by default set to 2-second exposure or something like that, maybe 3. So it literally 3 seconds moves up, 3 seconds moves up, 3 seconds. So the printer time on the resin files is amazingly fast if you're not familiar with that over the FDM files. It's just something I wasn't really expecting. I mean, I heard they were faster. Never thought about the fact that it's printing an entire layer at a time instead of bits and increments. So very cool to see that, especially with some of the larger stuff. And these trays for my board games for the inserts, and they a single tray of those can take 14 or 16 hours to print, and something like this entire ship took less time to print than that, both halves. So it's just an interesting difference on those. That's going to wrap it up for a look at all this stuff that I've been printing, and hope you found it interesting. Anyway, as always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.